Okay, dude, there's this tree by my house, and I swear it looks different every time I look at it. I can't explain it. Maybe I'm just hopping between the multiverse, like in my sleep or something, or I just have dementia, because I know how I sound, okay? I've seen movies. I'm the loon that's saying something ridiculous, and you're a normal person standing there absolutely not believing me, because why would you? And that's fine. I'm not like panicking or anything. Like, what am I supposed to do about it? I want to keep living my life. I'm just saying there's a shape-shifting tree right by my house. I just want to get it out there that if I ever go missing, there's a non-zero chance that the tree did it. It probably captured me and put me into some young adult novel nonsense. But if that ever happens, there is at least a small chance that I could come back with a cool shape-shifting guitar. Anyway, speaking of shape-shifters, this right here is an ESP LTD EC-1000. Now when you hear that name, there may be a guitar that just instantly pops up into your little walnut. For me, it's this version, but with the stock EMG 8160s and without the really cool name tag. But that might be different for you. The EC-1000 has been around for over 25 years now, and they have made quite a few variations within that time. So many that this gag is still somehow going on. And these are just the ones that I have with me. What's really gonna boggle your barnacle is that this doesn't even scratch the surface of how many different EC-1000s there really are out there. There's so many that we just have to filter it down a little bit. I know some of you guys have ADHD, and that many choices is just too overwhelming. It's called option paralysis. I went to therapy, guys. I personally have OCD, but I like to call it AC/DC sometimes just to feel something. So what we're gonna do today is we are just gonna talk about the base model EC-1000. So no piezos, no Ts, no Bs, no CTMs, or Floyds, or Evertunes, or 7 strings, or 8 strings, just the classic tried and true base model EC-1000, and how it has evolved from this to this. What is up, you anamorphing asinine armpits? Den here. And let's flash back all the way to 2000, a brand new millennium. A little too early for war in the Middle East, a little too late for war in the Middle East, but just in time for war in the Middle East. Lizard milk is popping off the shelves. SpongeBob is dropping comedy gold week in and week out. And the Pentagon hasn't yet announced that they just somehow couldn't find $2.3 trillion. So the Twin Towers are still standing too. Bush did it. And here's where I gotta be honest a little bit. I can't freaking find a solid timeline of events anywhere. So getting the years right exactly has been pretty hard for this video. Also, side note, good God, I hate AI. Like, it'd be one thing if every website had a little waste fresh water button in the corner that you could press whenever you wanted to. But having to rummage through a bunch of AI horse ass that's being forced upon me against my will, I didn't ask to see any of it, and it's getting in the way of me being able to do actual real research is stupid. Is stupid. I don't know what else to tell you. But from what I can tell, ESP had already been doing LTD for a minute. And maybe there were a few different versions of an LTD EC before this, but the EC-1000 Deluxe was brought into this world sometime around the early 2000s. From Gibson's litigiousness was born a more modern single-cut shape, tailored specifically for the guitar players that would go on to invent the genre known as metalcore. Made out of a thinner mahogany body, a mahogany neck, an ebony fingerboard, locking tuners, a locking stop bar bridge and tailpiece, 24 frets that are big enough to make the rest of the guitar industry feel emasculated, LTD's lightning-fast thin U-neck shape, and the tried-and-true EMG 8160 active pickups. Done up in either a boatload of abalone, like, wow, that's a lot of abalone. What were we thinking there? Like, what? I can only imagine what was going on in the boardroom. Or in a sleek satin black with yellowed out binding. It had the looks, the specs, the build quality, the sound, and a price of just under $1,000. Other guitars did not stand a chance. Once these dropped, they quickly caught on, because it was a more aggressive looking Les Paul with 24 frets and active pickups. I don't know what could be more of a 2000s wet dream, besides maybe Drew Barrymore at a grunge club. But what really solidified this guitar's popularity was the quality and consistency you could get for the price. LTD was really one of the first to release budget and mid-range priced instruments that didn't just not suck, nor were they just good, but they were really good consistently. Dude, this is back in the 2000s. Like, you get a cheap Epiphone, quality control's not there. You get an expensive Gibson, quality control's still not there. But then in the middle, there's this LTD EC-1000 that looks all aggro and metal. It's under $1,000, and it's spec'd better than both of them. This right here became LTD's Krabby Patty secret formula. Pretty quickly, they added a passive pickup option to the base model EC-1000, and those would come with various different sets of Seymour Duncan pickups throughout the years. And of course, they would add all kinds of different finishes. But other than that, the specs on the base model EC-1000 didn't really change, because they didn't need to. These guitars were being used by literally almost every 2000s metal band. Like, the ratio was actually absurd, guys. I wish I could put you in a time machine and just show you. These guitars were so successful that the specs didn't need to change for well over 10 years. And they still sold like your mother's issue of Playboy. But by the mid-2010s, things were finally gonna start changing. Around 2014, LTD decided they were going to modernize this guitar just a little bit more, for the love of the game. You see, up until this point, they had just been doing a regular set neck joint. But then they said, hey, why don't we carve that out and make it nice and smooth to improve the upper fret access even more. They didn't bump up the price or anything, they just started doing it. Also, around this time, people began to grow a little bit bored of the EMG 8160, considering it had been around for a while at this point. Even EMG themselves were addressing that by releasing new models such as the EMG headset and the EMG 5766, which would end up being featured on certain EC-1000 models, because ESP and EMG had been two peas in a pod forever. Like, if an LTD had passive pickups, they were Seymour Duncans, and if an LTD had active pickups, they were EMGs. That's just how it was. At least until then, because looming just over the horizon was something that was going to change the guitar industry forever. In the year of 2014, a little brand known as Fishman Fluence released a brand new set of active humbuckers that they had simply titled the Modern Pickup. And this pickup sounded very similar to the EMG 8160 in its base form. You see, these were no average pickups. These puppies were essentially two pickups in one, because it came with a push-pull pot that could activate a second pickup voicing, entirely different and more passive in nature. After a little while, they came out with the Fishman Fluence Classic pickup that came with 3 different voicings. These pickups did take a minute to catch on, but once they did, they completely took over. 2017 rolls around and LTD announces that some of their new models for that year will come with Fishman Fluence modern pickups. However, just a few short years after that, EMGs would almost be completely phased out of LTD's lineup in exchange for these Fishman Fluence modern and classic pickups. That's how popular they were. And it stayed like that for a while, to where most LTDs just came with Fishmans. Over time, they have evened out the ratio a little bit, but still, most of the time, if an LTD has active pickups, it's most likely going to be a set of Fishmans. And that was the biggest change for some time, until they decided to shake up the guitar world once again, just because they were bored or something, I guess. 2021 rolls by. Everyone's been locked inside. The world's been shut down. No one's having a very great time right now. And ESP LTD was like, I know what can help. From now on, all our 1000 series models will come with stainless steel frets. You're welcome, world. And everyone was like, you know, that's not really going to stop people from dying face down on a ventilator, but that is pretty sick. As if their guitars weren't solid enough and didn't come with modern enough specs. And you gotta remember, at this point, stainless steel frets were still a premium option. But like the Big Dick Giga Chad LTD is, they just started throwing massive stainless steel frets on all their 1000 series models. And again, they did it for no price increase. However, that was not the only change they would make to the EC-1000 around this time. ESP LTD started thinking about other ways to modernize the EC-1000 and change it up and freshen it up a little bit. So they started workshopping with this visual change, one that I personally am still a little on the fence about. And this visual change was to remove the pickup rings. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't think it works on some of their models that they've done it on. But yeah, they were like, let's change the visual language up a little bit. I don't know why. No one really asked them to, I don't think. I've always looked at the EC-1000 as a modern single cut that's trying to look like an old vintage black Les Paul custom that had been like resto modded with active pickups and made thinner and all this other funny stuff. And so when it's like that classic look, but it has the direct mount pickups and it's a gloss finish, it kind of got rid of the like classic part of that look. And it just, I don't know, it didn't do it for me. Did you hear how hard my elbow just popped? And as you can see, this brand new 2026 Candy Apple Red EC-1000 has the direct mount pickups, and I think it kind of works on this one. This seems like it's trying to be a much more contemporary looking single cut, where it's not really trying to look like an older, more vintage Les Paul, like this one is. So I personally would be okay if LTD did these direct mount pickups on EC-1000s that were trying to overtly look modern. Because obviously they also make guitars that are trying to look like more classic vintage instruments, just with modern specs. And on the EC-1000s that have that look, I really think they should keep the pickup rings, because that really helps keep that classic look. Like, the specs on these guitars were super modern and super progressive, especially for way back in 2000. But the amount of modern features they've been able to add on top of that over the years is really impressive. This is still like the definitive modern Les Paul. Like, are we really gonna pretend that those $3,000 Gibson Les Paul Moderns have more modern specs than this guitar? Are we really gonna pretend like that's a thing? Because it's not. And there has been one last little change they've made to the EC-1000 and to the entirety of the LTD 1000 series lineup, actually. There is now a third active pickup that ESP LTD is implementing on their guitars. And it is the brand new Seymour Duncan Mortal Coil multi-voiced active pickup set. These pickups are very similar in nature to the Fishmans, except the voicings are based around Seymour Duncan's sound. So voicing 1 is still just the active pickup sound, but not so much like an EMG 81. It's more so like the Seymour Duncan Black Winter active pickup. Voice 2 is based off of the Seymour Duncan JB and Jazz set. And then voicing 3 is a proper single coil sound. Like, this thing is spankier than some Strats that I've played. This is the newest iteration of the EC-1000 with the freshest specs in the year of our Lord 2026. And I honestly can't wait to see what they do with this guitar next. Yeah, if you want to get a new 2026 ESP LTD, use the Zounds link in my bio and grab it from there. And yeah, that's brought us up to today with the EC-1000, and I think it's really cool how it's evolved over time, especially how it stayed the same for so long, and then 2014 hit, and then they just started changing it up little by little. But I think we are going to wrap up today's video right there. thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it this far. I really hope you guys enjoyed. As always, if you did, leave a like, leave a comment, give me your thoughts and opinions. I love to hear what you guys have to say. Share the video around. And if you regularly watch my videos and you haven't already subscribed, then your EC-1000 is going to be like a weird, distorted backrooms version. So you get to have fun playing with the one lemon LTD out there. A big shout out and a thank you to A Horse Running, Solar Flare, Rob Heath, Jester MH, Sabrina Baker Clone, Scott Tolman, Big Tills, Ollie Gilbert, Mr. Cause, Robert Dalen, Mac No Cheese, K. Ryan Prasad, John Evans, Bob Threaton, Scoots Magoots, David McCanich, DLA Rocket Dan, Jay Graft, Xlani JC, X-Man Supreme, Black Arlic Jr., Guitar Benny, Brian M1777, and Justin M99. These honeys are my current channel members and their support really does mean a lot. If you want to join them, get a shout out in my longer videos, get access to the members only videos, and just help support this channel in a bigger way, go down there, click the join button, tier start as low as 3 schmeckles, super thanks button giving me money. I'm done being a tool. Thank you guys once again so much for watching. I will see you guys next time. Okay, bye!